Hey, I'd like to welcome all of you to our meeting of September 27th. And I'll call this meeting to order at 5:01. Number 2, invocation. Would you do us the honor, Commissioner Duggins?
Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening and we ask for comfort and relief, assurance to our county managers that family, as he has lost his mother from this physical world here, and we are grateful and mindful of the price that you paid for everlasting life. So as we grieve, we ask for relief, and we also are very grateful for your promise. And we would ask that you be with all of those who are sick and who have lost. We would pray for our leaders across the world, that they may find peace and prosperity for the people they serve. We pray for this commission, that we may make the right decisions to better help our citizens here. Amen.
Amen. Continue with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the United States of America.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Anaya. Vice Chair Secretary.
Here.
Commissioner Duggins.
Here.
Commissioner Gonzalez. Chair Martinez.
Here. Present, ma'am. Okay, item 6, approval of agenda. Commissioners, do you have anything to add? Or would like to change anything? Or if not, I need a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll make that motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Duggins to approve the agenda as presented. I need a second.
I'll second.
Second.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Secretarial. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed signify same sign. Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Item 7, approval of minutes of September 13th, 2022. Commissioners, did you have a chance to review the minutes? Yes. If you have, I need a motion to approve the minutes of September 13th.
Is that Joe making the, I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Gonzalez and second by Commissioner Duggins. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed signify same sign. Hearing none, the minutes are approved for September 13, 2022. Thank the lady for doing it for us. Item 8, committee department reports. Acknowledge department reports. The first one is the detention center. Did you guys see the report in the packet? Any questions? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move to the road department. Mr. Art Gonzalez.
I'm good.
Can you give us a report, Art?
He said he was good.
Well, good, Commissioner, just got a little bit of washout. Well, we're catching up now, so we're starting our chip seals now for the 22. And should be done by end of October. But we're getting a lot of calls about the washout, but just gotta put them on the list.
Okay. Any questions from the commissioner?
Mr. Chairman, where are the washouts? Are they countywide or one area?
One area of the Forest Service. So we're getting a lot of calls on that, but can't touch that road until the Forest Service gives us the okay. Till they flag it. Till Tina gives us the okay to go ahead and leave. About it.
Okay. I have a few comments. I'm glad you came, Tina, to the meeting. Tina's the Forest District Ranger from Magdalena. One of the main problems on Forest Road 123 is major work. We currently don't have a contract with the Forest Service to do major work to county. Well, that's kind of what the holdup is now. But I was glad that our manager and Tina met on Zoom and discussed the issue, and it was decided that the county would fix it. Repair that culvert that's damaged, and it was mainly because of the safety of the people that come in and out of that area. Further discussions are going to happen in the renewal of the maintenance agreement, which Tina is working on. That one, they pay us so much per mile to do the roads that they designate that they want to pay graded at least twice a year, and they're trapped. So I've seen the old contract, I haven't seen the new one. Until we get it, it'll be public information, and anybody's welcome to see it. If we get it. So I thank Tina and Mike and Art and everyone that has called in. Let us know what's going on in the roads, because sometimes we don't see the damage of these things. A lot of work that's got to happen on those roads. The other question I have for you, Art, we had approved hiring your crew supervisor. What is the status of that?
We had a hold on that. Mike will have to discuss that with you.
Say again?
Mike will have to discuss that with you because we put a hold on it for a couple of weeks. Talk to you guys about it.
Okay.
Or
And the laborers, did you fill all the other positions?
we interviewed two laborers last week, so we're just waiting on the okay from HR and Mike.
So then, once you hire those two laborers,
We'll be good.
and then the approval for the foreman, then you should be fully staffed.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions from the road department supervisor? And thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Socorro County Extension Office. I don't see anyone here. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I might say that they tell me the livestock sale this year was a huge success. I think I wasn't present, but I heard maybe it was the grand champion steer brought like $16,000, something like that. And good for the kids, right?
Yes. Our manager was gonna give us a verbal report, but his mother passed away, so he'll give it to us in the next meeting. Item C, acknowledge commissioner's report. Commissioner Secretary, do you have anything?
Sir, that's fine.
Commissioner Gonzalez, do you have anything? Our other commissioners on Zoom, so he can, on the TV screen there.
Is he still with us? We don't know. I think so.
Okay. Commissioner Duggins, do you have anything?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. So October the 8th again is the chili takes off for the state. I'm sorry to hear about it's also Alamo Day. Is that not right? So there's a little bit of a conflict there, but we'll have, we're trying to step up our game there, and we're going to have Miss New Mexico, and I think there's going to be a couple of crowns there. There's another lady, I believe in Valencia County, maybe Attorney Nance knows, it's an agriculture queen princess of some kind, something. But it was new to me. I just learned today we're going to have a parade through town at 10 a.m. and we'll kick the event off at 3 p.m. And the parade, we're also trying to step it up, and we're going to be throwing out a little more than candy. So you might want to pass the word along. We're the chili industry continues to find it difficult to stay in business, and we need the support of the state and to bring awareness of the problems that we have. We have no workers. You know, it's many reasons, but the monsoon rains we had were very difficult on the chili. On my farm, it killed it from one end to the other. Doesn't mean that we lost it all. It means the plants died. They died slowly, so the chili turned red. So we still have hope that we'll recover some of our expenses, but chili does not like rain. And there was something that also, maybe this is the time to bring it up, Attorney Nance, about the letters to the governor that we've had no response, and that we had mentioned in the last meeting of writing another letter, and we were going to go ahead and forward this stuff to all of our representatives all the way to Lula and Heinrich in Washington. Is that not what we talked about?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that was the directions.
And I realize that I'm sure you need more time just to let the people know that it was a letter concerning the fentanyl abuse, I guess you could call it. I think our sheriff gave us a report. I believe he said something like the average user, not dealer, but user, might have as many as maybe 40 pills in their possession at any one time. Is that not right, Sheriff? About 40. I mean, that's not uncommon. And it's a plague. And this commission wrote a letter to the governor asking to declare emergency and get this border where most of the fentanyl is coming under control. And we've not even heard a response. And so now we're, Attorney Nance is in the process of writing some other paper, and we just hope, look, this is not a Democrat or Republican. It touches everybody's life. There's over 200,000 have died in a year and a half. And there's many here in our own community here. And what really stunned me was our middle school had 20 overdoses in 1 week's time, middle school. And so be aware of it. That's all I have.
For my part, on the 22nd and 23rd of September, I attended the non-metro AAA provider meeting in Silver City. This is the agency that helps fund and provide the meals for all the seniors centers throughout the 32 counties. It's a good meeting. I understand that our governor, the non-metro will be requesting 7.5 million to help for all the 32 counties. Part of that is gonna be reclassifying some of the positions in the centers, because we have a lot of workers throughout the 32 counties that are making $12 or less an hour. And they want to raise that salary to 15. I asked the question, who would fund it? They said they would put it in the program where the county would not be responsible for us to pay that every year, which is good. I hope it goes through. They're going to be giving food boxes to the seniors. Selena, our director, is aware of it, and they can deliver them to seniors. I understand there's no income requirement. It's to help the seniors through the winters to give them food.
And what day is that, the food boxes?
I don't know when she's going to sit at home. We're hoping we get some fundings so we can continue with our centers. We should be knowing pretty soon. Mike knows a little bit more because he's been in meetings with Zoom, so he'll give us an update our next meeting. I was asked to be on a committee also. Adrian, can you help me out and explain the joint power agreement that I'm with representing Socorro for the wolves?
Certainly, can do my best. Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, basically, we have, over the years, there's been quite a few wolf depredations or wolf kills, especially in Catron and Sierra County, but some in our county as well. And some of these producers have, especially around Rainy Mesa, have almost been completely wiped out. And so there's been an organization called the Coexistence Council that has tried to funnel money in, through federal and private agencies as well as the state to make up for some of these losses. But it's really bureaucratically it was a very difficult process. So based on working with the New Mexico Department of Agriculture as well as the producers, the three counties decided, well, we'll get together and create our own entity that will be able to obtain these federal funds and compensate for the losses in a much more efficient process. And so basically it is an entity created by Sierra, Catron, and Socorro counties. Sierra County has agreed to be the fiscal agent, but our chairman will serve on the board and make determinations about compensation. It looks like we'll have a fair amount of funding even this year, which is great. And I think that we'll probably get more next year, which is, is absolutely sorely needed. When you go from a 90% calf crop to a 10% calf crop, I mean, you just really can't stay in business, so.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, on that note, Adrian, Attorney Knapp said it's not only just the death of the cattle, it's my understanding that they get maybe nervous or something. They don't breed as well with the wolf hanging around. Is that not right?
Well, they're chased and stressed and hunted, so they become stressed, so they either don't breed or they abort their fetuses just because of the amount of stress.
And with that also, we've talked about in the valley here, I just mentioned the red chili season is approaching in about 30 days, and the crane do an incredible amount of damage. And we have had, I think his name was Fajardo in our meetings. I wonder, Jennifer, if we could, when the manager gets back on his feet, if we could not get them in here. He told us at one time that they was going to have a public discussion amongst the farmers, and maybe that there was some money, much as the wolf money, that could be compensation to the farmers that are losing. You get 1,000 crane in that field, it'll be gone in about 10 days.
Okay, and the other thing, Commissioner Anaya asked me to represent him at the Board of Directors meeting in Las Cruces this coming Thursday and Friday. That's a very important meeting where different representatives from each county meet and discuss the legislative initiatives. They prioritize selection, not only for each department, like the clerks, the assessors, the attorneys, fire and emergency, and that's what they present to the finance committee and the government. So I got the packet today. I have some time to go over it tonight and tomorrow for that meeting on Thursday. I'll be attending that. And that's about it for me. Under public comment, during this portion of our meeting, we welcome your suggestions and want to hear your concerns. This is not a question and answer period. Speakers will be limited to 5 minutes. The county commission is not able to take action on matters discussed during public comment. Speakers are requested to state their name for the record. Any public comment?
Hello, Commissioners. Name's Tommy Sadovich. I just had one concern that I'd like to talk about that really impacts me gets home, and that's Escondida Lake. I don't think there's enough attention drawn to Escondida Lake. Irrigation is one of the things that I look at when I go to the park, and I think the county is spending a lot of money trying to irrigate that park. And I think they need to just allocate some money, find the funding to put into a new well, a new pump, and a new system to irrigate that park. That's a moneymaker. It's going to be the lake. That thing would be self-sufficient. Another thing is covering that playground, putting a canopy in 102 weather for the little kiddos. I think that's something that's very important. I'd like all of you commissioners in the summertime to go there, put on a pair of shorts and go down that slide. It's not going to be fun. And just picture your kids, grandbabies, trying to go down the slide. No seating for the adults to sit around there. I know I'm asking for a lot by trying to request all this stuff, but we got a beautiful park there at Escondida that needs attention. The parking lot, it could use another chip sealing. It hasn't been done in a while. There's potholes all over that place. I'm sure Art's struggling too to try and find the funding to get out there and get it done. The RV spots, I remember when I worked for the road department, he had us there and we redid the slopes behind where the RVs park. That was the last time it was touched. It needs to be redone, that whole parking area. Is there a way to get with, maybe with the Conservancy and seeing about expanding that area in the RV towards the north? I'm sure that they can work with them, to work with the Conservancy on a piece of land to expand the RV parking. That little park is full every weekend. And I see a lot of UTVs, side-by-sides going to Gordy's to play. And they use that place as their campground for all the activities. That's a little moneymaker for the county. Lighting, there's improper lighting. You don't want your kids walking to that park at night. It's dark over there. Those are some concerns that I look at, that I just wanted to bring it to your attention, that the fishing derby, we have it every year. The camp spaces are full immediately, way ahead of time. I'm sure they're already starting to book up for the next one because there's not enough parking areas for the RVs. I see them tenting it in the grass or parking on the outside. They're just trying to find a place. That's a nice little park, commissioners. And I'd like to see some attention drawn to it. I'm sure there's farmers in the local area that would be happy to donate some time and maybe even some equipment if you were to just ask them to help beautify that. There's a tree nursery up on 408. I see them all the time pulling trees out and just letting them die. I'm sure they can work something out so they can maybe donate or get them at a lesser cost to put those trees in around Escondido Lake. That's really all I have to bring up, but irrigation is probably one of the biggest things that Escondido Lake needs right now. Because that park, the only place it is green is around each sprinkler, because there's not enough pressure to feed the whole park. So I think if there's a way to allocate some money, find some money to put into Escondido Park, that's a good little money maker to put into the general fund. That's where it goes. And you can use it at different entities throughout the county, but that'll bring in money. So, with that said, that's all I have right now.
If I may, and get permission from the commissioners, Adrian, I'd like to put this on the agenda for our next meeting. That way we can answer some of your questions.
Okay, please. I
And you
would
can
like
get a
that.
response.
Okay,
And I took some notes, so that way we can let you know what we're doing or what we've already started to work on. Unofficially, that way we can tell you.
at the basics, the chips still in the parking lot, there's potholes that you see the trailers coming in and everything else. It's a mess. That little park has a lot of potential. Just needs some time to do.
Our next
Thank you.
meeting,
Mr. Chairman, Attorney Nance, as long as there's no action, yeah, I could add to his discussion a little bit. Could I not do a public comment myself?
You don't need to do, you're at the discretion of the chair.
So, Mr. Chairman,
our next meeting is October 11th at 9 in the morning. So it'll be on that agenda.
so thank you, Mr. Chairman. I actually had, I guess I better be come forth with. I think most people know, but I am a board member of the Middle Rio Grande Conservancy. They were at my house this morning for breakfast, and I did bring this up, and I have hopes of them working with the county. It's actually property of the Middle Rio Grande Conservancy leased to the county, I think for 99 years or something like that. And I suspect that both entities could maybe come together, and I'm hoping. I did bring it up this morning.
Thank you. Anyone else? Public comment? Tina? Say,
Can say whatever if you want me to talk.
no, I just.
I just want to, but
Okay.
I can't talk.
Okay. Hearing nobody else, under item 10, new business, review and discussion of resolution 2020-58 speed bump policy and direction to staff. Says, well,
Mr. Chairman and members of the commission, I believe that Commissioner Commissioner Duggins requested this to be on here in 2020. This board adopted a speed hump policy on September 22nd, 2020, which is resolution 2020-58. And of course, like any policies, we need to determine whether it's working for us or not, and if not, then change it or repeal it and see what the process is. So certainly I can explain the process, however, if you'd like briefly, Mr. Chairman.
yes, go ahead, Adrian.
Basically, it does set forth engineering criteria. Basically, it sets forth technical aspects of what a speed hump should be and on what kind of areas are subject for that. That said, I'll skip through that. That's kind of a lot of technical stuff that I don't understand anyway. But as far as the process itself goes, there's two ways that we can do a speed hump. The first of when is if there's an initial request from basically a property owner. And so a property owner can make an initial request, say that we need a speed hump, and the county does a preliminary determination to decide whether or not it meets our above engineering criteria. And if it's eligible, then what's required is a petition of 75% of the property owners on the road. And that way, it can't be done by just one person. There has to be a consensus in the community that it's needed. After that's the case, if they determine that, if once we receive the petition with the agreement of the community, we put it on our road maintenance list to determine whether we do it. So if we have the money, we can do it right then. Otherwise, it's prioritized with other projects and other speed humps. The process is the same for also removal of a speed hump, and say everyone decides they don't want it anymore. That said, the county, the Board of County Commissioners, that's generally the way that it's done if individuals want one. If the county road department and the commission determine that it's necessary for the health, safety, and welfare, then the county does have the ability to put one on. You don't have to go through a petition process, of course, because the road does belong to the county. So that's the generalized process.
Thank you.
It's fairly standard throughout counties in New Mexico, but anything could be changed. We just want to make sure that the engineering is right, so we don't get sued if somebody flips over or something like that.
Commissioner Duggins, you had requested this, anything else to input?
So, Mr. Chairman, in my area, I would imagine the sheriff is aware of it as well. Art, is that Chambone Road, is that what that road going, that headed towards a midway, the road I'm talking about where the V is, and you had installed at my request, a speed bumper too on the upper road. I'm not sure what the name of the road is. And now the lower road, two people have called me there. There's not a whole lot more than two people. There's not a very populated road, but their dogs get killed and the hot rodding is unbelievable. I live east across the railroad tracks and I can hear the hot rodding on those roads. And so they've come to me and want speed bumps. And if the county board of commission and the manager of the road department can make a determination, I guess I'm all right with that. But I worry about getting so clumsy and so filled with to-do lists that it doesn't happen. And I believe they're needed, and maybe the sheriff.
And again, certainly if the determination is made, then it gets put on the list.
And it seems to me that each commissioner in your area, you know your area, and it's wild out there.
And it's not just your concern. Our office has been receiving phone calls in that area quite a bit recently. And so they've been asking for us to help our patrols. We've had deputies out there, but as you all know, we can't keep out there all the time. So I think speed bumps would be something that I would recommend.
So, thank you, Sheriff. So, I guess if the commission's willing to act, I guess I'm good with the standing ordinance policy, but let's act before somebody dies. The dogs are getting run over. It's wild out there. I bet you they're doing 80 miles an hour on a 30-mile-an-hour road.
So, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Duggins, certainly we can't act on this meeting, but what you can do is I would suggest you can give direction to the road superintendent to take a look at the road and make a determination. I mean, he and the manager can make the determination, or they can bring it back to this board as well. But with that direction, he can go and make sure it meets the criteria, which I'm familiar with the road. I think it does, but
It's the old Lee Kinney's place.
Exactly.
So,
That's what I would suggest, just direction to staff at this point.
well,
Well, if I may, Commissioner Evans, I think we just give direction to Art and our manager to look into it.
To look into it and see if it meets the criteria that you all have approved.
Yes, and if the marshal just made the comment that in his opinion it's needed, the sheriff, I mean, a letter of support from him would also look good to justify
absolutely.
the stuff.
I guess a letter's all right, but his voice is on the.
Yeah, but still, an official letter is better than. And we'll put it on the agenda for our next meeting.
It may not need to be on the agenda, but when the manager gets back, because the see if staff will either make the determination and think they need to move forward, or they'll bring it back to you. So
Okay.
we'll make sure that's brought up with the manager.
And I would like to say, and I realize they need to be installed correctly. I mean, I don't want to lose my oil pan, but we do want to.
There's a standard. to put it.
Right, so they're needed.
Okay. Item B, discussion of Hawk Canyon LPGPF drainage and road issues. Do you have history on that, Adrian? I do.
I'm afraid this is one I can't help with, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Well, Mike was gonna present some stuff today, but he'll probably discuss it with us at next meeting. What I know is, if you remember, we hired Dennis Engineering to do an engineer study of that area. He did it. We submitted a request for funds from the DOT. And according to Mike, they rejected our request for funds. The funds were like $750,000, and we would have to pay 5% of that to the county, and they would pay the rest. I was kind of disappointed, as well as some other people in the area. But I asked Mike that if we were going to get a letter stating why it was rejected, not so we could get better at resubmitting it again to see where we did wrong or what happened. That was the reason I asked for a letter. I sent an email to Trent Doolittle because I contacted him when we applied for the funds. And he said it was good that we were doing it because they had a lot of money in the DOT state. He's not answered my email yet. I called him a while ago, left a voicemail, so I'm hoping he calls me this week. And I told him that the commission prefer a letter so that way we can see what we can do. And that's what I know so far. I know we have some residents here that live up there. Janet, you want to say something?
Socorro County Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to speak. Although I have come before you on more than one occasion, I will first refresh your memories of my situation.
Janet, can you state your name for the record?
I am Janet Cliff of 230 Hop Canyon Road.
Thank you.
My property has now experienced flooding due to the Socorro County's road improvement for 4 monsoon seasons at the east side of my house, at the west side of my house, at the easement, and for 3 years at the driveway. Prior to this improvement, I never had flooding issues. Eventually, the county hired Dennis Engineering Company to investigate and prepare Hop Canyon Road drainage review. My half-acre property is the only one specified in the review. is in the majority of the pictures for the existing conditions and structures section. And being at the farthest northern point for the correction area is specified as the location for initial work to solve the 1.5 miles of problems emanating from lack of consultation with an engineer before the improvement. According to the review, the problems primarily stem from a lack of culverts. More specifically to my situation, most of the water from what DEC labels as Drainage Basin 1 no longer stays in Drainage Basin 1 heading toward Hot Canyon Channel in the east. Instead, the water is heading north. My property to the north is not naturally part of Drainage Basin 1. Subsequently, my flooding problems still remain and will remain. In the meantime, I continue physically dealing with flooding on my property and physically dealing with such stopgap measures as maintaining sandbag and re-digging holes to slow the flood of flood water as the holes refill from erosion and detritus. Again, for the record, sandbags and pockmarks are not part of my landscaping aesthetic. And I resent the county forcing me to have them. I do appreciate the county's efforts before this year's rains regarding my driveway. The temporary solution seems to have helped. Because the funding request was pending, I did not re-enumerate my various problems to the county this summer. Rest assured, however, they still exist. To say I am disappointed that New Mexico Department of Transportation did not approve funding to fix Hot Canyon Road is misleading. The situation is untenable, physically, financially, and psychologically. Earlier this year, the Socorro County assessor agreed by immediately reducing my taxes. That with all the public documentation of flooding at the east side of my house, at the west side, at the easement, and at the driveway, my property value has decreased and is perhaps unsaleable. In short, because of the county's improvements, my property may be worthless. Owning a property that is potentially worthless due to the county's improved road hardly motivates a person to maintain or even improve said property. The lack of its unsaleability will remain until Hot Canyon Road and its drainage are fixed, both at my property and at Drainage Basin 1. Furthermore, if I were a potential buyer, I would not consider purchasing a property until documentation exists of no flooding issues for at least 5 years. Clearly, these are problems. Clearly, Socorro County is responsible. Clearly, progress must be made promptly, correctly, and with minimal hassle for Hot Canyon residents, myself included. I look forward to learning the county's permanent solutions to the problems and the implementation timeframe. 4 years of flooding and subsequent stress are already too much. One needs to feel secure in one's home, physically, financially, and psychologically. Otherwise, is it a home? Commissioners, I deserve to have a home again.
Thank you. Anyone else has any comments?
My name is Neil Gray. I live at 229 Hop Canyon Road across the street from Bannock Cliff. I called Commissioner Martinez a week ago Monday regarding the drainage problem from the last storm, which was on Sunday, the 11th of September. And to this day, the county road department has not come out and removed the sediment, gravel, and rocks from the road. This afternoon, a neighbor was out with a shovel clearing the road, and I took a photograph of that and I sent it to all of you. So you should have that along with my memorandum commenting on my thoughts on the road situation. After talking to Ray a week ago Monday, I actually emailed Mr. Hawks, and he explained to me that the funding was declined by New Mexico Department of Transportation because the funding would be for flood work and not for engineering. I could not comprehend that, and responded back to Mr. Hawks, said, I think the ODOT, that's Oregon. I think the New Mexico Department of Transportation engineers need antipsychotic medication. And he didn't respond. So anyway, I asked him if we should circulate a petition from the residents, try to get some support, and he didn't know whether that would be of any benefit. So that's why it was declined. It's not an engineering problem, it's a drainage problem. That's for Mr. Hawks.
Okay, on the
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to know how many residents are on that road? Do you have is there a rough count? I've never been on it. I don't know what it is.
From the beginning to the end,
Well, the troubled part at
the
least.
troubled part starts around Hop Canyon Fire Department, 192 Hop Canyon Road. And it goes all the way up to where the road ends and becomes the Forest Service Road. Forest Road 101 used to be, Hop Canyon Road used to be all of Forest Service Road 101. Anyway, I'd say there are at least 75 residents, maybe 100.
any other questions? I answered this text because it came from Trent. He says, sorry I missed your call, Ray. Debbie Hudson, the lady that's in charge of the reports for the finance, she, according to him, it says here, Debbie sent me a copy of the rejection letter and I'll send it to you shortly. So
we'll know more of that.
yes.
Okay.
Letter.
Thank you very much for your time.
And on cleaning the road, when you called me, I went up there. And I can't give direction to the road crew or anybody, but I send it to Mike. And I know he sent it to the road department. But they've been chip sealing, they've been doing other work, so eventually they'll get up.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from anybody? Item C, discussion and direction to staff regarding an allocation of $5,000 for the spay and neuter project. This was discussed at our last meeting that maybe we could do this so we could help. Yes.
I mean, I see no reason that the board shouldn't pursue it. Basically, it is a public health issue.
It's needs a vote. I'd make a motion that we approve that.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Duggins to
It's
approve
countywide.
5,000 spay and neuter. Second by Commissioner Secretarial. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed signify same sign. Hearing none, allocation of 5,000 for spray and neuter project is approved. Item D, direction to staff to publish title and general summary of an ordinance regulating the importance and placement of anticipated mobile homes. Adrian, you drafted.
Certainly, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, sir, I don't have a clear direction on this, but I put a draft together just so that we can just start discussing it. Basically, at the last meeting, you all requested that we put the project forward. So basically, the concept of the project is to prohibit the importation of dilapidated and old mobile homes into the county. We already know there's a problem. We've seen this time and time again, and this ordinance would allow that, will allow us to take steps to stop that, the importation. It does not regulate how you place it, because that's up to Construction Industries Division or where on your property you place it, but it does say that it is a public health hazard to bring in old and dilapidated mobile homes. At this point, there's no action for the commission except for to direct the title and summary. At that time, we will publish it in the newspaper for once a week, for at least 2 weeks prior to a public hearing, which I believe we should schedule for the October 25th. We can have the public hearing, and you all can decide whether it's something that you're interested in. If you would like to change the ordinance, make any changes to it, we certainly can do it at that time. But I think the draft is pretty solid, and I would suggest at least moving forward with a public hearing on it and see if it's where we want to go.
You heard the recommendation of our attorney. You give him direction to go forward with it.
Good.
Go ahead.
Adrian, in regards to whenever we say old, in terms of like how far back are we looking at?
That's up to this board. I put in 30 years, and I mean, I guess the only reason I've seen it at 10 years, I've seen it at different numbers of years. I've also seen it at a certain date and time, which I don't think works. The Mobile Home Act actually changed in 1976. So before 1976, they're not made as well as they were after 1976 because of the federal law that came in.
Yeah.
But heck, my mobile home's 10 years old. I think it's okay. But so that's just something that this board will have to look at is there a period of time that you think you put that basically sets a presumption that it would be dilapidated, and 30 years is the placeholder. However, I also put in this ordinance that it has to also meet minimum criteria. So let's say you had a brand new mobile home and it gets trashed, just because it's not 30 years old doesn't mean you can still bring it in. I mean, if it doesn't have,
You have to go.
if it's up exactly. So that would be the fail-safe that's built into it.
Say again, Joe?
So no 10-year-old, right?
No 10-year-old.
10 is okay as of the current draft. So it's 30 years is the current draft, but that can be changed to 20 to 15 to whatever this board makes a determination of where the presumption would lie.
And this would be decided, Mr. Chairman, excuse me, this would be decided in the 25th meeting.
That's correct.
Any comments from you, Gail or Jose?
The only question I have, I'm Gail Tripp, Emergency Management Commissioner's Chair. Would this include mobile homes already in the county that are being moved from lot to lot?
This only discusses the importation of mobile homes. So we currently, we have to rely on our nuisance ordinance for things that are here. We can stop things coming in, but once they're here, but before this ordinance comes into effect, then we have to rely on our nuisance and abatement ordinance. Otherwise, we run into constitutional problems.
Okay, that's what I want clarification. Thank you.
Okay, do you need a motion to proceed with it?
Mr. Rich,
We do need a motion to
put it on the 20th.
a motion and direction to staff to publish the title and general summary of an ordinance related to the importation of mobile homes.
And that would be my motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Duggins. Need a second?
So we do have until the 25th of next month to, the year of the trailer, right?
Absolutely, we have until the 25th. The reason we can't do it at the next meeting is there's not enough time to actually publish.
No, I understand that. I'm just trying to think, it's like, just like you were saying earlier, 10 years, a trailer that's 10 years, I'm pretty sure yours people will get, but versus someone that buys another 10-year that's gone through 4 or 5 properties. So,
Absolutely.
so yeah, with that, I will most definitely second that.
Second motion by Secretary. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed signify same sign. Okay, Adrian and Jennifer Tom Mike, that directing staff to publish title and general summary of an ordinance regulating the importation and placement of antiquated mobile homes. Item E, acknowledge personnel changes. Who wants to do that?
Mr. Chairman, I don't have my glasses. It's hard for me to see it, but the personnel changes, the checks, the vendor checks, and also the payroll checks. Could we not lump all those together? Again, we've all had a chance to look at them. They're on public record. And for me, I would make the motion that we lump them together, and that's my motion.
Okay,
If there's any questions, of course.
I remember talking about that about a month ago. So,
no, go ahead.
okay. So I will go ahead and second Mr. Commissioner Duggan's motion in regards to accepting the personnel changes the way it is, the way it's presented, and then also the vendor checks where the amount of $293,079.99 dated 9/26, and the payroll checks for $183,756.71 dated 9/27.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? Hearing none. We acknowledge personnel changes, approve vendor checks, and approve payroll checks. Item E, executive session. Since our manager's not here, do we need to go into it or?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the manager did ask that I briefly discuss a performance issue with you. So yes.
Okay. I need a motion and roll call to vote to go into executive session.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Nuggets,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Secretarial.
Vice Chair Secretarial,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Evans,
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez,
Yes.
Chair Martinez.
Yes, ma'am. We're in executive session.
Go now. Okay, then.
All right, I'm letting them back in the room.
So we're live again?
Yes.
Okay, need a motion and vote to return to regular session.
I'll make the motion that we return to regular session.
Motion by Commissioner Douglas,
I'll second, sir.
second by Commissioner Secretero. All in favor signify, roll call vote, please. Aye.
Vice Chair Secretary,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Evans,
Yes?
Commissioner Gonzalez,
Yes.
Chair Martinez.
Yes. We're back in regular session. Motion, roll call vote was done.
We need the second motion, Mr. Chairman. Right above next commission meeting.
Okay, now the motion to go roll call and vote that matters discussed in closed session were limited and those specified in motion for closure and that no final action was taken as per Mexico state statute. Need a motion for that?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Gonzalez,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Secretero. Roll call vote?
Vice Chair Secretary,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Evans,
Commissioner Douglas?
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez,
Yes.
Chair Martinez.
Yes, ma'am. Our next commission meeting is October 11, 2022 at 9 a.m. Say again, Commissioner?
9 o'clock.
Yeah.
9 o'clock, yes. Thank you, Commissioner.
Be safe, Commissioner.
We are adjourned. Thank you. Thank you, Tina, for coming.